You need to win. This is not a request. Since the new Snow White has come out, everyone across YouTube decided to join into the same hive mind and regurgitate the same opinions over and over again until my feed looks like this. Which is perfectly acceptable, mind you. Everyone has the right to be angry over this. Snow White is a classic, and Disney really didn't treat it with the respect it deserves. I mean, neither will I, but I'm not the company that made it. I'm some random college girl whose veins run with coffee and whose eye bags are, indeed, eternal. I'm allowed to make conspiracy theories. I've done worse. Snow White has a pretty basic story, so I'll run through it relatively quick. There's a princess who falls in love with a prince while her evil stepmother makes plans to kill her. The huntsman allows for her to escape, which Snow White does, to a cottage full of dwarves. The evil queen discovers she lives, poisons her with an apple, and gets smited by God. The dwarves mourn her while the prince shows up and kisses her, which awakens her from her curse, and the prince carries her away to a happily ever after. What I'm going to focus on is the prince. He doesn't appear a lot in the movie despite being the romantic love interest of Snow White. All he does is sing, smooch a corpse, and then walk away with said corpse reanimated. Which, frankly, sounds almost a lot like The Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm just saying, there's a lot of similarities here. But what if his lackluster appearance is on purpose? What if the prince is giving us plenty of character, hidden underneath layers of details and small subtle clues that slowly unravel to show... Okay, you guys saw the title in the thumbnail. I think he's a Yandere who's been stalking Snow White. You think a stalker wouldn't try to keep themselves hidden from their victim until they plan to approach them? You think that this man, who clearly is in love with Snow White for no particular reason, wouldn't use whatever resources he can to win her affections? The first reason I think he's a stalker is due to how little he shows up in the film, despite being madly in love with her. And I get it. The love at first sight trope was pretty common back in the day. But you know what characters also fell madly in love with someone else at first sight and stalk them to no end? That's a pretty common trope for yanderes. But I don't think this is even the first time this guy's met Snow White. When he comes into the scene, he rides in from a horse and sees her from behind. And unless that behind is really good, I doubt he's falling in love with her singing and whistling. Which can happen, but I doubt he would have risked jumping over the wall and trespassing so easily. Unless he was obsessed. And unless he already knew he could get away with it from past experiences. We know from this first meeting that Snow White has never met this man before, because of course she's going to run from a stranger. With how confidently he strolls in, and how Snow White reacts, this is certainly her first time seeing him. But this isn't the prince's first time seeing her, since he approaches her so easily, as if he knows that he won't be caught, and he knows he can win her over. What convenient timing for him to show up as well. It's almost as if he planned this. Coincidentally, when Snow White is singing about falling in love, a man dressed up all fancily shows up and sings when she's most vulnerable. There's no way that he didn't plan this. He probably knows what her schedule for cleaning is, and knows which walls are easily jumpable. Why would this prince be anywhere near the castle at this time as well? The evil queen is quite religiously against Snow White's beauty, so if this was a planned meeting, Snow White wouldn't be anywhere near the castle. The evil queen probably would have locked her up in a basement for a day just to keep Snow White from meeting anyone that could oppose her power. And yet, the prince is there, at the right time, in the right spot, completely ready to seduce Snow White the moment he shows up. This was planned. And how, you may be asking, would the prince know to do all this? He doesn't really seem to have any spies around. Oh, you sweet, innocent summer child. You have no idea how obvious the answer is. It's the animals. The animals seem to like Snow White, sure. They watch over her, they help her with cleaning, they try to defend her despite going against the evil queen. These animals seem to be on Snow White's side throughout the entirety of the movie. Yet, we don't see them act around Snow White in the same way they act around the prince. Look at the way the birds act near Snow White compared to Prince Charming. I forgot I wrote that in the script. They're utterly captivated by PNG's stock version of Flynn Rider-looking man. We need more Flynn Riders, Disney, and not store-brand kind. Despite his lackluster looks, in my opinion, the animals are gun-ho for the prince, which begs the question of why they would even stick around Snow White at all. She's not their first choice, and we never see the prince directly turn them down. So why would the animals choose this random princess instead of the guy they clearly find more endearing? Because the prince stuck them onto the princess. as spies. The prince very clearly commands them easily, as the animals are quick to obey and worship him. They frolic around him and practically beg for his attention. If he realized that his obsessive love was an animal activist, he would absolutely use whatever resources he has. And if it's a little birdie, so be it. You do what you have to do. It's not like she has a Facebook page. Then again, if she was born in our day and age, she wouldn't have a Facebook anyways. What would Snow White even use for her social media? Would she even be online with how much technology affects the environment? We need a modern telling of Snow White where Snow White is a hippie. Disney, come on! We could have had a hippie Snow White! This is exactly why I need a babysitter. I keep going into tangents and getting distracted. If we consider the evil queen not being the only royalty with access to some type of power, then it would explain how the prince is capable of stalking Snow White. The evil queen quite literally has a mirror that rats out everything about Snow White. They're probably shipped in bulk. And if the prince doesn't have a Snow White stalking mirror, TM, then maybe he has some other magical artifact that helps stalk Snow White, since apparently it's not too hard to get your hands onto one. If the prince has none of that, then he's simply using his good looks to ask the animals for a favor. If the evil queen can have a magical mirror slave, then the prince can have magical animal stalkers. For all we know, the prince stuck those birds onto Snow White to let him know when a convenient time for him to show up was. And when Snow White begins to sing about her loneliness, no wonder he shows up. It's the perfect time for him to swoop in and finally make an impression. That's why he's so confident singing after her, even when she runs away. Because he's been watching her for a while and knows her likes and dislikes. He knows he has this in the bag. And that injured bird that was conveniently there that helped show Snow White's innocence? A plant by the prince, to help Snow White get away from a sticky situation since he wasn't able to get to her on time. And the animals just conveniently help her in every circumstance? Please, he told them to. And for the love of God, can we talk about the corpse smooching? I don't think the issue is that he kisses her without her consent. I think the issue is that he kisses her without her consent while he believes that she is dead. No sane, desirable man would walk up to a rotting girl and think to puck her up. I'm looking at you, DeviantArt. Unless he's either crazy or unless he knows she's not dead. I mean, look how quickly he decides to kiss her. There's no hesitation. Barely any mourning. And how he shows up is also suspicious. The dwarves would have had no idea he even existed. Snow White never went into any details regarding her crush. It's almost as if someone close to Snow White knew who to tell after she was poisoned by an apple. The animals probably ran to the prince immediately after she was poisoned and told him. And instead of being out and about for the dwarfs to hunt down, the prince probably was trying to figure out how to cure her or bring her back to life. Yanderes are completely obsessed with their lovers, and there has been multiple instances in media where a Yandere would try to cure the concept of death itself. If the prince found out that she collapsed after biting into the apple the evil queen provided her, he likely started investigating what exactly could have cursed her, and how to cure her. So when he found out the cure was a good old smooch, he was probably a little worried. After all, they've only had one meeting, so that's why he briefly mourns when he first sees Snow White. He's worried the kiss won't work, and that not only she would stay dead, he would get the definite proof that Snow White never loved him. And for an obsessed stalker, that's terrifying. This theory also explains why the animals are so ashamed when the prince arrives. Because they failed to protect the one goddamned person he told them to. And for all they know, they're next in line to be cursed into a mirror on eternal Instagram commenter duty. And this theory also explains why he just up and takes her away after the kiss wakes her up. How the hell was he supposed to know this proved her love unless he already looked into it? No wonder he's so ecstatic. He just got confirmation that his victim is in love with him as well. So he swoops her up and kidnaps her away, just like a Yandere would. So here's the overarching real story I think Snow White was telling in the shadows. The prince, at some point in his past, saw Snow White and fell madly in love with her. He started using his connections and face in order to get close to her, and know the opportune time to strike. When that time comes, he swoops in, handsome and dressed up when she's alone, to seduce her the way he knows she likes. When Snow White is taken away, he's probably too far out in his kingdom in order to get to her on time, and has the animals on Snow White watching duty while he makes arrangements to travel out and conveniently meet her again, because he doesn't want to mess this up. Then, he finds out Snow White's poisoned, and immediately goes to her kingdom to search through the evil queen's belongings to see what she was poisoned with. so he can arrive with a cure. He probably is able to find the secret lair due to a certain crow ratting out the location with his charming smile. Once he finds out what she's afflicted with, he conveniently gets found by the dwarfs at her palace and is led to her coffin, full of what he knows isn't a corpse, and silently begs the gods that she loves him too before he gathers himself and kisses her. And sure enough, it works! His first impression on a vulnerable, lonely girl was enough for her to believe she's in love. And so he steals her away, much like many well-known Yandere do, and whisks her off to his palace to finally have the girl of his dreams. And that is the true story of Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I decided to review their older Snow White movie since the new one came out, and I don't want to watch the new one in theaters. While they both clearly do have their own issues, it's clear which one is a passion project pushed forward by a man who really wants to test the limits of his craft, and which one is a shameless cash grab by a company who really can't do anything but play it safe anymore. I am begging you guys, do not financially support this movie. Do not buy the new Snow White disc. Do not go see it in theaters. Do not give it word of mouth or support it. Do not take my video as encouragement to watch it, because I refuse to support movies I personally think are quite terrible. Guys, I'm so desperate for a good Disney movie. I think the last one we got that was a genuine good, well-meaning movie was Encanto. And that was ages ago. Also, if you guys want me to make a conspiracy theory video about Wish, I'd be willing to tackle it. If Disney is going to keep making movies that don't have a good enough plot for me to enjoy, then I'm going to keep making conspiracy theory videos about them. Thank you for watching! All of the art of myself is done by me, along with editing and voiceover, so it means a lot they stuck it out this far into the video. If you're interested in my cringe older work, feel free to watch my Boss Baby playlist and die alongside with me. If you want a flavor blast of something more serious, I have a recent Natsuki poem analysis from Doki Doki Literature Club. You all are amazing and have an amazing day. We could have had a hippie Snow White.